What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the art channel. It's been quite some time since we've uploaded anything on this channel, but I thought today we would do a sketchbook tour. This isn't the most exciting sketchbook by any means. They're not the most beautiful drawings or anything by any means, but I kind of want to show you guys like what drawing is all about for me recently. You know, what I've been working on as far as drawing is concerned, what it means to practice. And just repeating the same thing over and over and over again sometimes, just to really get good at the stuff, you know. It's not about, you know, creating a beautiful drawing all the time or making masterpieces all the time. It's more about, you know, doing less masterpieces and doing more ugly drawings, you know, doing more drills, doing more exercises, you know, repeating things over and over. So this sketchbook is pretty large. It's a, what's the size on here? 14 by 17 inches. Just regular sketch Strathmore paper. Some people like to use newsprint, but I have some issues with newsprint. I do like the texture of it, but anyway. This sketchbook is basically full of anatomy studies, basic stuff like the bean, which I'll describe. It's got some robo bean stuff in it, mannequinization. It's got some portraits, you know, there's some more rendered, you know, finished style stuff that you guys are used to seeing on my Instagram, but most of it is just really rough sketching, and that's really what I've been doing lately. So yeah, this is just a little anatomy study of a hip bone and a leg bone or something. Hopefully the lighting is pretty good. I'm going to have to move this over a little bit so you guys can see the drawings on the opposite side of the page here. I might move this camera back just a wee bit. It looks like it's picking up pretty well though. I really like this drawing. This is, you know, you can tell what that is. It's a hip bone. Looks pretty cool. Just some regular bone studies on this side. Not too exciting. I feel like the drawings on here are kind of hard to see. Let's move that over just a little bit. Anyway, let's skip ahead here. I'm not going to spend too much time on each page because the video would be like an hour long. Just some more, you know, basic hip studies. Just trying to practice drawing the hip. It's really fun. It's kind of like drawing a butterfly or something. These are some fairly decently rendered bone studies. I really like these. These came out pretty cool. Move that camera back just a wee bit so you guys can see a little bit more of the drawing. I really like these. You know, they're kind of gestural. And let's keep going here. These are some mannequinization robo bean studies, which the mannequinization and the robo bean is basically breaking the human figure down to basic shapes so you can learn how to identify, you know, figures in perspective and that kind of thing. These are some, you know, not anatomy, but just little rough gesture studies. I'm kind of combining the bean with just, you know, some flow and grace, a little bit of facial feature. Rendering, not a whole lot per se. I'm just going to put something behind here so that these pages don't go as far back. So there we go, that's a little better. Anyway, moving ahead, just a little rough gesture study. You can see these drawings are not very good, you know, it's just, this is like me going back to square one, learning how to draw. These are some rough Loomis heads. You can look it up on the internet or on YouTube, type in Andrew Loomis. It's basically a way to break the head down into a three-dimensional shape. It's really cool. Here's some more Loomis head studies. And you can really just see how I'm just practicing things over and over and over, just to really ingrain it. Here's a skull study with a couple Loomis heads off to the side here. I like the skull study. It's pretty decent. Oop, hit the camera there. I didn't mean to do that. There we go. That should be good. So yeah, a little rough study. A little rough study of an eye. A little, you know, just rough study of facial features. Looks kind of creepy, but is what it is. I think this was an exercise that I took from a YouTuber named... what's his name? Bradwin Jones. He's got some really good sketch walkthroughs using the Riley method. Haven't really exactly mastered the Riley method by any means, but it does yield some pretty cool results. As you can see, Here's some more studies using the Riley method from Bradwin Jones, just following along with some of his tutorials. Really cool stuff. These are some, again, I think these are from Bradwin Jones, actually, using the Riley method for the figure. I got to sort of get back to the Riley method. I kind of, been getting away from it a little bit, but it is pretty effective. Here's just some anatomy studies that I did off the cuff, looking at pictures on Google, and that's the thing, like, there's really no excuse to run out of inspiration, because there's always something to draw, especially with the internet. It's so much easier to get inspiration. My phone keeps going off here and it's bugging me. Let me turn it off here. So yeah, I mean, back in the day before the internet, you would have had to look at books or take a ton of photographs or go out and find live models. Nowadays, you can draw pretty much anything from the comfort of your own home. Here's another male anatomy study, just to kind of demonstrate to you guys, that I do draw other things besides women, plus size women and whatnot. I like this figure study. It's got some good energy to it. It's more like a gesture. And I'll just demonstrate here for a second. A lot of what you'll see with these basic gestures is basically just starting out with a line of action, and then you have what's called the bean, which forms the torso. And let's say, the pose is kind of twisted like this, and that will kind of give you, and then you got the head up here, and so it kind of gives you this basic structure for the human form. And then beyond that, you mannequinize it. You break it down into a shape like this. Break it down into a square. It just gives it some three-dimensionality to it that you wouldn't normally. Obviously you're not going to draw, finished drawings like with people looking like squares and stuff, but it's really a beautiful way just to practice perspective and just to show you how things look in space. But anyway, we could make a whole nother video about that. Here's some more gestures. Gesture drawing should be very energetic. There's a little bit of a, mannequinization bean, robo bean type thing. And I've learned all of this from, taking this, the Stan Prokopenko course. Just go to Google and type in Proko, and he's got a great website. And you just order these great videos that kind of show you how to draw. And this is kind of what I've been doing. That's why I haven't been posting a lot the last, 6 months or even a year. Haven't been doing a whole lot of paintings because I'm trying to get back to square one and just really learn how to draw properly. Here's like a Riley head which has all these weird sort of abstractions. There's kind of a rough gesture drawing. Here's another, I think this might have been, yeah, it must have been a Riley head, maybe an Asaro head or something. There's a lot of heads. There's like Loomis heads, there's Riley heads, Asaro heads, but anyway, here's just a little study of light on form, like a little egg study. I like that drawing. It just looks cool on camera, just a little gesture sketch. Here's some more gestures. Some more gestures, not really super exciting. That's the thing, you're going to do a lot of bad drawings, for years. But this is what I should have been doing the last 5 years, and I've only really been doing this for the last maybe 8 or 9 months, not even a year. But already you'll sort of start to, see somewhat of a progression. I haven't mastered anything yet. Here's some anatomy studies, some bone and muscle studies. I think this one might actually be upside down. I'm not sure what's going on there. Here's another light on form study with, a little bit of perspective. Here's some bone studies off to the side here. Here's some more. Here's a value study I did, which is pretty cool. You just kind of go from really light to really dark just to kind of get a perspective of what your tools are capable of. And then we've got another light on form value study, I guess you could say. Skip ahead here. Here's a skull study with another little anatomy study of a man. It's really fun doing these male anatomy studies. I wouldn't say it's my passion per se, but it is really cool, you know, because they have a lot of pronounced muscles, and even some women models are more muscular. So that's something I'm just, you know, even though it's not like my body type preference, you know, it's good to know stuff as an artist. You know, you don't want to just get locked into one thing. You want to be able to do as many things as possible. Here's some cool gestures. You know, they're not particularly well articulated, but you can see there's some energy there. There's a little bit of flow, but they kind of just look like chicken scratchings. Here's like a little, it looks like a banana, but it was meant to be like a large piece of hair. That's something else that I struggle with, is learning how to draw hair. It's definitely not easy. Here's a little figure study, skipping ahead here. Just some Loomis heads, nothing too exciting. More Loomis heads. More Loomis heads. Here's a little bit of a, you know, mannequinization for the arm. Some more arm, basic, you know, mannequinization. I think I might have been watching some drawing database tutorials. He makes some really great videos on YouTube also. Here's just some more gestures. More gestures, you know, and that's what you want to do with gestures, just really get the energy, you know, get some life and sort of excitement into your drawing. You know, I really like some of these gestures. You know, they're not necessarily super well articulated, but you can tell sort of what I was going for. Here's some more gestures. I like some of these here. I should probably stay in the same position. I keep going back and forth to look in the viewfinder, which I don't really need to do. Here's some Riley heads. These might have been Asaro heads or something, maybe a combination of Riley. I'm still struggling with the Riley method. You know, there's quite a bit that I'm still struggling with. Here's some Loomis heads. I do like the concept of the Loomis head. I'll have to maybe do a tutorial on some of this sometime. Here's just some bone studies for the hand. Kind of interesting. Here's another bone study for the hand. I like the way that came out. Here's some just shapes in perspective. This will really help you when drawing things. Perspective is probably the hardest, I would say, but you know, this is just some little drawings working on perspective and stuff like that, which is important. More perspective, just, you know, some tubes in space. Here's a little study of a skull. It's kind of an interesting drawing. A light on form study there, a little ball. Now these are some sketches based off of the bark plate. It's like a method of drawing by a guy named Barg. That's pretty interesting. You guys can look that up. Here's another Barg plate study, sort of breaking things down into shadow areas and light areas. Has a pretty interesting effect. Here's some more gestures. You know, and you could practice for years just trying to get good at gesture. But gesture, you know, from my understanding, is like the foundation for you know, what they would teach you at a drawing atelier or a drawing academy or art school. Nowadays, they probably don't teach this kind of classical stuff. But this is where you want to start with gesture. You know, loosen up. Don't worry about details. Just get the basic shapes, the basic forms. Here's a little, I guess it's kind of creepy looking, but it's kind of an interesting expression. A little portrait there. Here's some more gestures. Kind of interesting. Okay, so here we're back to the bean. These are some good bean examples, and you can tell they kind of look like little people, you know, little bodies of people. That's what the bean is. It kind of helps you break down the human form. Here's some more sketches of the bean. Here's like a little mannequinization anatomy study of a muscular man. Some more bean stuff over here. Here's another mannequin / anatomy study. Here's another bone study. And it's very, very difficult to sort of articulate all of this stuff at once. Like, you know, how to layer certain, you know, aspects of information on top of the gesture, and then the robo bean, and then anatomy. And being an artist, there's just, especially a visual artist, there's a lot of information that you're having to sort of deal with. And that's why it's good to try to focus on one thing at a time. You know, maybe it's a gesture, maybe it's quick sketch, maybe it's anatomy, but anatomy should be, you know, further on down the road. First things you want to start with are gesture, just getting comfortable loosening up with your pencil. And these drawings are not done, you know, sitting at a desk drawing like this, you know, like you would typically think of draw. These are done right here, you know, really just loosen, very loose, you know, that sort of thing. That's how these drawings should be done. That's why it's good to work on a big page if possible. Here's just me practicing, you know, Loomis heads or little anatomy sketches. Nothing too exciting. Some more gestures. You know, as you can see, it's a lot of the same thing over and over and over again. But that's really what it takes. Here's a more, you know, sort of a refined portrait. I think I posted this on Instagram. Some more Loomis heads. For some reason, when I do like a really finished drawing, I don't like to draw on the back of it. I don't know, in case I want to present it or hang it up or something. And a Loomis head with some gestures here again. I kind of like this one. This is kind of fun. It looks like he's like dancing or something. This is, you know, sort of like the Cambiaso mannequin. He was like a Renaissance artist. I think he's the one that sort of came up with this concept of mannequinizing the figure. Here's some rather horrendous gestures, you know, just kind of trying to figure out different poses. Here's some more shapes. Here's a nice little render drawing. Kind of nice. Done with pencil. I haven't worked much in pencil lately, mostly been doing charcoal because you can see the difference. Like pencil is really, really good for certain things, but it just doesn't have that, you know, sort of, you can't get that depth and tone that you can with charcoal. Like there's really no comparing this to that. You know, you can still do a lot with pencil, but it's kind of oily and you know, it smudges and it can get kind of waxy and shiny and stuff. This is me trying to draw figures in perspective, you know, showing the person kind of, you know, kneeling over or something. Some more Loomis heads. Here's some just basic shapes. Here's another, you know, rendered pencil drawing. And pencil is just very meticulous. It takes a long time to build up the values, you know, that sort of thing. It's kind of a nice drawing though. Here's just some bean studies, some tubes in space. Just kind of like doodling. Loomis heads, here's some perspective tubes and rectangles coming out at you. I think I might have posted these on my Instagram story. Just some more gestures. Here's some old master studies I did. I think this was a Rubens. This was like a neoclassical artist. I forgot the name. A little portrait of my cat, Pete. Here's another old master study. I forgot who that was. I'm just trying things out. I like these two at the bottom here. You know, they got some flow and grace to them. Again, you know, I'm still working on mastering my line work. You know, I'm still a little bit timid. They're still kind of scratchy looking. Here's some more reclining figures, breaking the figure down into a shape, trying to analyze what that's like. This is kind of supposed to be this way. Anyway, hopefully that makes a little more sense. Now it's time to move this out of the way so I can... Again, this is supposed to be kind of this way, but hopefully you guys can kind of see where I was going with it. This is supposed to be this way. More Loomis heads, more mannequin squares, I guess you could say, more mannequins. Here's just some kind of roughly done sketches, not very interesting. Here's some more mannequinization / gesture drawings. Here's some more gestures. More cowbell, more gestures. You know, it's just kind of learning, trying to figure out how to draw the human figure in different poses, how to make it look 3D. So it's really interesting. You know, again, not great drawings, you know, not stuff I would exhibit. You know, I don't post these, but I'm definitely not ashamed to show them. You know, this is kind of like the hard times you spend at the gym or something, you know. These are, I did post these on my Instagram because they were a little more finished. I really like the flow and grace of some of these. Some of the facial features definitely need some work. You know, the hair could use some work. But the overall tone, the overall flow and grace, you know, it's a little nice figure. And I actually finished this sketchbook today, so I think that's why I wanted to make a video. Just some more gestures. We're kind of coming towards the end here. More gestures. You can kind of see, you know, gestures should sort of tell a story. You know, they should have some excitement to them. More shape studies. I don't know what happened with that head. That looks super bizarre. But anyway, I kind of like this drawing. Just a little rough sketch. I was kind of warming up when I did these last night. Some more poses of somebody just sitting down, reclining. This was a hard pose to do because you've got different limbs crossing different limbs and this and that. This is all, I think the rest of the sketchbook is all RoboBean. These are tutorials that I watched on the Proco program, on Stan Prokopanko. And it's hard. I do these over and over and over, but it's very hard for me to visualize shapes in space. Like if I just pick a random drawing, it's good practice to try to break it down into like squares or what they call the RoboBean or the mannequin. That's pretty much it for that sketchbook. Hope I didn't go too quick. I didn't want to spend, you know, a million years on every single drawing. But again, thank you so much for watching this video, guys, and we'll see you guys in the next art video, hopefully not too far down the road. So thanks for watching.